The Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Monnapule Saleng, and so for anyone who hasn't subscribed, I do have a blog, I guess I could call it that. I do write articles, and a couple of days ago I wrote an article regarding the situation of Monnapule Saleng, but something in me is just telling me that I can never beat this topic like a dead horse because it matters that much. We are talking about someone here who has been the best performing player at Pirates for the longest time. So we're not talking about someone who is just another player. We're talking about someone who has set a standard that has hardly been set in the last couple of years, especially for a white player. And so by quality alone, I think he warrants for us to keep talking about it, especially because, hardly do I think that, the club is ever held accountable. Now, there's a lot of conversations around Saleng's alleged misbehavior. I think there's already enough spoken about. Saleng is probably the one who's out of order, and so I am not going to talk about that because the rumors are suggesting that he's the one who kicked up a fuss, I beg your pardon, and so he's now living with the repercussions of his own actions, and there's too many people speaking about that, so I'm not going to be the next one talking about that. But what I want to talk about is the club. And so in the article that I wrote, you guys can check it out. In fact, I'll link it in the description for those of you that love to read. I do write these articles every now and again. But essentially the essence of what I was talking about is analyzing what the situation entails. And then it entails this. Monnapule Saleng was signed at Orlando Pirates some 3, maybe 4 years ago now. And I think based on what we know about Pirates, he most likely was signed for 3 years, maybe 4 years. Pirates doesn't give players like lengthy contracts. What they do is they give you a sort of medium-term contract, which is about 3 years, if you're lucky. So you get 3 years, and then they'll also give themselves, as the club, a 2-year option or a year option. So they are in essence saying, we're going to keep you for 3 years, and if you are not useful anymore at the end of 3 years, we can shake hands and say, okay, we've committed ourselves on our part for 3 years to pay your salary, but now you are no longer useful, therefore we'll shake hands and we will not exercise our option to extend the contract. And as someone like Monnapule Saleng, who's at Free State Stars maybe at the time, Orlando Pirates coming in and saying, maybe we'll give you 50,000 rands for 3 years, or 60,000 rands or 70,000 rands, whatever the figures are, and then we're also gonna include an option to extend for 2 years. When I think about it, I think as Saleng, you don't know maybe that you're gonna be a world beater, you're going to be potentially the best player in the country at some point, and it sounds like a good deal, playing for the biggest institution in South Africa, arguably Africa, and it sounds like a good deal. But when in your first season, if I don't count the season that he went out on loan to Moroka Swallows, you break all kinds of records. You can't plan for those kind of things. Those are the sort of things that they happen to you. Yes, they are a result of your own hard work, but no one thinks they're going to do that. I can sit here and say I don't think Saleng thought that he was going to be the best player at Pirates. I think Saleng when he saw Lodge, he saw Vincent Bule at the time. I think Gabatino Mango was still at Orlando Pirates, or maybe he left the time that Saleng joined. But the marquee signing at the time when Saleng came, especially when he returned from loan, you had people like Kemet Erasmus, and all of us thought that those were going to be the talisman for Pirates. When we saw Saleng's name in the team sheet versus Mamelodi Sundowns in the MTN 8, it might have been a semi-final first leg at Orlando Stadium, and we saw Saleng's name and Pule on the bench. A lot of us were like, what is this head coach doing? Let's be honest. And however, history has it that he then became the best player at the club by his own, effort. No one granted Saleng, the best player by handing it to him. It was his hard work. And by all accounts, when that happens, he is then, in my view, granted to go to the office of Orlando Pirates, to the management, and say, hey, here are a couple of players in the same dressing room as me who are on ×3 what I earn, ×4 what I earn. I would like for you guys to multiply what I earn by 3, because that's the level of player that I am right now. So far, I haven't said anything that is ridiculous. I think everyone, even at their job, if you're the best performing employee, you can't be the least paid. It's only fair that you then go and say, at least match the highest paid person or give me more, because that's what I warrant by my own performance, by what I deliver on the pitch, right? And so that's what's alleged that has caused the breakdown in relationship between Pirates and Monnapule Saleng. I find it hard to understand why Pirates, if that's what happened, is freezing him out. I think when I hear sort of evidence from other people who have played at Pirates and they speak about the club, I mean, we saw how Teko Modise left in 2011 and all those kinds of things, is that it seems like you don't question the management of Orlando Pirates. Temingosi Lodge left in similar circumstances as well. There was a lot of talk about disagreements around this and that with the management, and what happens is they then release you eventually. And I think in the case of Saleng, unfortunately for him, I don't know if it's similar with Lodge, but with Lodge he had 6 months left on his contract before leaving for free and joining whoever he wanted to join. And this is the part that I actually want to emphasize, because here's the point. Lodge, and I'm going to use Lodge as an example. Lodge had 6 months left on his contract, and therefore Pirates said, if a club, we don't care who it is, can come now at this time offering us some money, we will let you go, because we only have 6 months left with you, and then you're going to leave for free. So at that point, it's in Lodge's hands. Lodge can say, it's fine, I'll stay at Pirates for 6 months and see out my contract, and then I'll go join Sundowns for free. And I'll basically bolster the squad of the rival for free. Which is to say, Pirates is losing their best player at the time for free and is going to join a rival. So Pirates, in their interest, are going, okay, fine, you know what, with 6 months left, if you want to leave now, if they come in with money, we'll sell you. And that's what happened, I believe. He then joined Mamelodi Sundowns. Now, the difference with Saleng is that his contract had an option to extend. An option to extend is basically, I think I might have already explained it, is that when they sign you, they say, hey, at the end of 3 years, we can extend your contract without negotiation. So in other words, it's like us, the club, can exercise our option on our side to say, no, actually, we want to keep you for 2 more years. And unfortunately for Saleng, when he was at Free State Stars, that was a good deal. But after becoming the best player in the country on his performances, suddenly it's a silly deal, because he wants to then go to the table and say, actually, I would like to earn ×3 what I currently earn. And I believe Pirates exercised the option. Why did they do that if they didn't want Saleng? It's because Pirates thought, this is a guy whom, if we let him go for free, he can go to Kaizer Chiefs and he can then play in a Soweto derby and hurt us. In similar circumstances, it's basically empowering the rival for free on the player that we found, on the player that we developed, so to speak, is now going to our rival and is going to make them better. So Pirates is saying, you know what, we're going to keep him. It is nothing for us to pay Saleng his current salary, which he's complaining about, because it is peanuts for us. We'll see him out for the next 2 years. In fact, we're going to extend him for the next 2 years and see out that, knowing that he's going to waste away on our books, and we're not giving our rivals a potential best player in the league. And I think for that reason, then Pirates, they extend the contract of Monnapule Saleng. And look, I know it sounds brutal, but on the club side of things, it's great business, because them now loaning him to Orbit College means he plays for a much lesser team in the league, and he's not going to play against Pirates, which is his parent club. So when he's out on loan at Orbit College, he is prohibited to play against his parent club, which is loaning him out, Orlando Pirates, and he's not, empowering a rival in the league. So he's going to empower a club that is going to be around 10th going down. With all due respect, Orbit College are going to be somewhere, if they do good, they're going to be somewhere mid-table, but you see them, fighting for relegation. And Pirates is saying we're happy for him to go to that kind of club, especially because he won't play against us. Now, at the end of that loan deal, Saleng will have a year still left on his Pirates contract. And what I'm thinking around that is that Pirates is thinking, okay, if he goes and he performs at Orbit College and he does really well, what's going to happen is they're going to salvage value, because now he starts to attract again potentially a move in Africa, and Pirates will then say, okay, fine, there's a year left now on his contract anyway, we know he's not going to extend with us, and if we don't sell him now, we're basically going to lose him for free, and he's now again entered his prime. So now we're going to now demand 10 million to sell him. And if he does well, what's going to happen is he's going to attract interest, and that will be to the benefit of Orlando Pirates. And I think it's just business from Pirates. From their perspective, they're just trying to salvage value. For those of you that understand business, it's like, if we kind of resuscitate this asset, allow him to go out on loan, and if he doesn't perform, we don't care, because anyway we're gonna just keep kind of sending him over there, and he's gonna waste away there. If he does perform, it's to our benefit, because when we sell him, we're gonna get a lot of value. We're gonna sell him with 1 year left instead of losing him for free. We're gonna sell him with 1 year left. Now look, Ndlondlo left for free, those kind of players. It's like Pirates are saying, we're not going to take the chance to lose that kind of player. That's the gist here. The gist is that they extended Monnapule Saleng because they're not going to lose that kind of player for free when they can get a good 10 million for him. And them sending him to Orbit College is that if he does perform and goes back to his he enters his prime, then they're going to get a lot of value with 1 year left. If Al Ahly comes again, they're going to get the 10 million. If Zamalek, whatever, if they come, they're going to get a 10 million or a 5 million or whatever the case may be. And I think it's all business for Orlando Pirates, and that's the sad part for me, because I think we're often asked to support the club, and part of supporting this club, and a lot of us fans, we talk about, hey, we need to support the players, this and that, but something that is quite unsettling for me is the talk that I keep seeing right now on social media especially, which is saying, okay, out of sight, out of mind, Saleng is gone now, we move on as a club. That is true, football does move on. The only people that remain at a club are us, the fans. All the people that are working at Pirates, they're going to go. All the players are going to go. Guess who's going to remain? It's us, the fans, right? So no player is bigger than the club. However, I really think it's quite shallow of us, Pirates fans, to start now being brutally cold-hearted towards an individual who's also working for his family. Someone who has given us one of the best times as Pirates supporters at a time when Mamelodi Sundowns is dominating the league. Monnapule Saleng is the one player who has given us the joy of knowing what it means to win 4-0, knowing what it means to beat Mamelodi Sundowns in a quarter-final, in a semi-final. In a rivalry match, Monnapule Saleng is part of the people that buried Mamelodi Sundowns 3-0. And I think it's quite shallow of us to move on so quickly. To think in a way as to say, out of sight, out of mind, whether he's struggling, whether he's not, we're going to find another one. I think it's quite brutal from us fans. And I think if we really mean what we say by the fact that we are a loyal fan base, we are a loyal support, then I think that it is in times like these where we actually hold the club to account. Like, fans actually need to hold the club to account. In fact, I don't understand when the fans get mad when people like myself will ask questions. I think that's part of our job, because I really believe that, you know, the fans are a huge pillar of the club. Without the fans, the club is not. And we have to ask the questions, you know. We have to hold them to account. We have to create the standards that we want. And I really don't get it when fans say, hey, whatever decision, we must just back it. When the board decides this is what's going to happen, we must just be behind them. I think that's silly. I really think so. I think it's very simplistic. That's not how football works. Part of what creates standards in a club is the fans. The fans create the standards. They demand the standards, and without that pillar of a demanding fan, the club is going to sink. And so stuff like this, because, you know, we're talking about someone who we care about, Saleng, because, you know, he showed that he cared about the cause that we care about, which is we want to lift the trophy, and he delivered to that end. Yes, we didn't win, you know, the league, but he delivered to that end. He gave himself on the pitch, Monnapule Saleng. He gave us moments. For some of us, I mean, there's a lot that happens in life. We live for those 90 minutes on the weekend. And Saleng is the person that brought you that joy on the weekend. And for us to kind of speak like out of sight, out of mind, I think is quite shallow. And I think we need to get over that kind of talking. And for that reason, I'm not going to stop talking about Saleng until Pirates have released him. And then I'll talk about him not on this platform, but as is, Monnapule Saleng is an Orlando Pirates player, even though he's out on loan, because he's still contracted to Pirates. And so I'm going to ask the question, what's happening? What's the situation there? Why are you treating him like this? And I'm not asking because I think I'm going to get an answer. I'm asking because if I keep quiet, then the club will do what it wants. And it'll do what it wants to the players that we support. And these players, even though he fights against the club, he's still ours. You know, he plays for us. The club is us, the fans. And so one of us is being frozen out by the management. And we don't just sit behind or get behind the management in brutally treating a player. If everything that is alleged is true, if what I deduct in the situation is true, then we need to be behind Saleng. And yeah, that's what I think. Those are my thoughts. I have a lot more thoughts actually, but I'd probably have to sit here for 2 hours to talk about every little nuance of this situation. But I think for 20 minutes it's enough. You guys can go on with your lives. But tell me what you guys think on the comments, and then yeah, let's chat. Up the mighty Bucks. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video from Talking Buccaneers. If you did, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all our future content.